It was
And we are
Hey, there you go.
Also, hello everybody. So this is going to be the first Totally Bollix live stream chat about all of the different prompts that we've got for each month. This is actually, I'm going to say it's technically Lizzie and Hannah's readathon. It is your guys' readathon.
It's all sort of. We just did it first.
Related.
Yeah.
And we have our wonderful guest this time round, which is Sam from Griff Reads. People are not yet linked in the description if you're watching this live because life is difficult. However, if you go find the Twitter account, everyone's Twitter is linked on there, and I will go back in and edit this after it's been uploaded to the tubes so that everything will be linked down below, so you can go and follow everyone. But yes, so this time round, we're going to be talking about short books, but before we do that, we're going to introduce everybody. If you're here, you probably know me, but if you've reached this through one of the others, then hi, my name's Abby. I like talking about books, and I'm a bit of a hot mess.
We're doing like...
Yeah, we'll go around.
So hi, I'm Sam from Griff Reads, and I also like talking about books. And yeah, I pretty much read everything and anything. Like, I can't describe my taste in books because it is literally everything. So.
Hi. Hi everyone. I feel like I'm in like a group meeting. Hi everyone. I'm Lizzie. My channel is Bombadil's Bookish Things, and I'm a massive Lord of the Rings nerd. I'm trying to make it my whole personality. So fantasy is my main genre, but I do speak about horror books quite a lot as well now. So yeah, that's me.
Fair enough. Hey everyone, I'm Hannah from Ladder M. What? Were you doing it along? I thought you were doing it clockwise.
I thought it was clockwise.
Yeah.
God, it's not my channel or anything. Carry on.
Then you should have introduced us individually then.
It's fine. We're setting the tone. This is what the
We are setting the tone. Everyone welcome. Other Hannah, go.
Yeah, I've just rocked up with an agenda, apparently. That's fine. That's who I am. Every time I say I don't like a genre, I then find about 8 books that I love in that genre. So that's my reading style.
Hello, I'm Celine. Stuff Celine does. I do read pretty much everything. I think I prefer fantasy, it's fair to say. But yeah, I will read pretty much anything. And I'm very chaotic. And I love to talk about books, but I don't know how to talk about books. So.
And then I'm Hannah, also, but of the Bookman's Feast. I also like to talk about books, but don't know how to. So we'll see how this goes. It's been a while. I'm out of practice.
That's a bad book.
But I also like to. Sorry, I have a delay.
I think it might be me that has the delay, actually.
Okay, well, it's normally me. But I also tend to read whatever. Heavy lean on fantasy, but lately it's been horror, so it seems to be changing. So we'll see. But yeah.
And we do have some people who have come to say hello, say hi to all of you.
So many people.
And then sort of different tubes. Do you mean tubes as in like pipes, or do you mean the underground, or are you going in the wrong direction, madam?
Can I just pipe up and say that when you said tubes, I immediately thought ovarian.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just because of my age or like who I am as a person, but I didn't think like, yeah, YouTube. I was like, what?
My brain also went there. Don't worry.
Okay, cool. I don't feel quite
Mine went
so
test tubes.
Test tubes, also fine. Yeah.
What's wrong with all of you?
I don't think that's a question you want to answer today. We don't have all day.
No, we don't have time.
I wasn't expecting you to say on the tubes. That I wasn't.
Yeah.
Out of your mouth.
Do you not watch my channel? I say it all the time.
I do. But I also wasn't expecting it.
I went ovarian too. Thank you. Yeah, right. Do you know what? That makes me feel so seen. The fact that I was like, yeah, and I said ovaries, and I was like, oh, and it's such a weird thing to pop into my brain. It's the fact that you guys thought that too.
Maybe it's my people. Weird one. Also, yes, that is partially because Hannah and Lizzie are in the same house and so have to be in very different rooms. Otherwise, you'll just hear everything twice. Yeah. So Hannah is in, if I'm correct, the office.
Mm-hmm.
whereas Lizzie's in
Her room.
your room.
This is my these are my
I wasn't
shelves.
sure if you were going to be in there or in the living room, because I know you guys have got books in the living room.
Well, if I was in the living room, what you'd have behind me is copious amounts of alcohol, and like that's because we've got all the bottles of like rum and stuff
The vibe.
on the side in front of books. So I was like, I'm gonna sit in my room.
Yes. See. But yes, so as I mentioned, as we started this, we're going to be talking this month, about quick reads, short reads, a combination of the two. I will say most people have went with short reads that are therefore also quick reads. Sam did not, and I'm so glad for that. And I also
I
know
didn't understand the assignment.
No, you completely understood the assignment. Like, I'm this close to pulling down a very large book, which I may do when it comes down to my turn. But yes, so we're going to be going for about an hour and a half. We usually run over. We're going to try not to, because we're later than usual this time, because I was on a train. It was awful. And we're going to start off with Celine. Celine's going to be telling us about her short, quick reads. Let us know. Go on.
I decided to go with A Psalm for the Wild Build by Becky Chambers. It is, as you can see, a very, very short book. It's like 100. I don't think it's like even 200, 150, something like that. So very short. No, please. Please, no.
I was trying to
No.
I was trying to spotlight you, and it just spotlighted me, and I was like,
You know what? I loved it because your face was like, that's not right. But like, but like you just sat there for a sec, and then Celine was on it talking about her book. So it took a second for Celine to go, oh, that's not my laptop that's done that.
No,
that's Abby.
I really appreciate the thought.
Don't worry, this is going to be worse when it's my turn.
It's weird. I'm sorry. It was like too much.
I'll just do this, okay? It's fine. I've done a little ticker. Go.
Okay. So this book is about Dex, a non-binary traveling tea monk who is kind of like yearning for solitude and a life surrounded by nature. And as they go from town to town with their bike wagon, they decide to go and go and find an abandoned hermitage in the wilderness, basically. And on their way there, they meet Moscap, a robot. And a lot has happened to the robots centuries before, and then linked to them living just society in human company. And as of today, being considered more as a myth, actually. And so both Dex and Moscap are really surprised and also fascinated to just see each other. And Moscap was on its way to study humans in order to answer a very, I would say, important question for the robots, which is, what do humans need? And so from there, we then continue with Dex travels and also with the very innocent and naive Moscap. It has an extremely like childlike enthusiasm for basically everything. And it has such a pure soul as well. And so Moscap realizes that the answer is not as simple as it thought it would be, and that humans are more complicated. And it's, a story about, I think, someone who has lost their way and struggles to find basically their meaning in life. And as with every book with Becky Chambers, this is also like a message of hope in a way. It's really gentle, it's very heartwarming and like a wholesome story. And apart from the story itself, I really liked that there's no mention of sexism or racism or classism or any kind of ism. And the world building is really utopian-ish kind of, and in a way that everyone is respectful of one another and work towards the betterment of their communities kind of way. And so and also the dedication at the beginning of the book is really cute. Let me find it. For anybody who could use a break. I feel like it's so cute. They're just so cute. So I really like this book. And I really like Becky Chambers. Anyway, all of her books. It was cute.
You do, because she's been trying to get me to read Becky Chambers.
Yeah,
You've managed a little bit. I'm getting there.
I think you will like the Becky Chambers.
So has anyone else read this, for starters?
Becky Chambers.
Yeah, I have read it. I didn't like it as much as Celine did. I prefer Becky Chambers' Wayfarer series by like a mile. This was fine. I got a little bit bored.
That's fair. It's not really action packed. You're just along for whatever is happening, and it's not even really character driven because it's really short as well. But it's just like a cute story.
I think for me it was because it's a novella. I understand that it was a quiet novella, right? It's not. I think if you want to read something really gentle, then definitely it's one, like, if you need just something as an uplifting book where it's just gentle, it's nothing like huge is going to happen. I think it's definitely one to pick up. Like, I think I gave it 3.5 stars. So it's beautifully written. Becky Chambers' writing style is still fantastic. It just, there wasn't quite enough going on for me to be gripped in the same way.
I read the sequel. I think it's going to be a series. I don't know if it's just a trilogy or a whole series. I think that she could have just put the two books together and like make one, basically. It's not necessary to break them down like that, but she did it anyway. So.
I'm assuming that A Prayer for the Crown Shy is the second one. That's why I put that comment up there. Because I'm pretty sure that is the sequel, which Eleanor has read this month.
It would be the sequel.
Can I ask you a question about the robot? And like, feel free to like shoot me down if it's like too spoilery, etc. But I know like with sci-fi with robots, they can tend to be either very programmed robotic or very kind of AI empathy. And I'm imagining that with this one, it's the latter. Like, where does the robot sit in like that sci-fi spectrum?
It started as being programmed, but they kind of like earn their own intelligence in some matter. Like, it's explained in the book. I don't know, like, if we want to go for spoilers or not. Can I? I don't know.
I don't think it's a spoiler. I don't think that's a spoiler, to be honest, Celine, because it happened that explained early on. That's like a really early on. I don't think it's a spoiler, and I'm a spoiler person that hates spoilers. So.
Just in case it might be a spoiler, I don't know. But yeah, so the robots decided to just get away from societies and humans in general and just go on their own way in the wilderness, like create their own ecosystem, whatever. And so no one knows if there's still any robots because no humans have seen them in like centuries. And so that's why like it's more of a myth. And then they have a whole ecosystem. So like I don't really want anything, but like they have a whole ecosystem. They have some rules and stuff like that. But it began at the first and then ended up at the later, if that makes sense.
Okay, no, that's fair. Like, I do like stories that tend to do that. I think there's quite a few, like, my favorite robots in fiction tend to be those ones that have that kind of, they start very rigid and then it's like they learn empathy through AI, or either they just become humanized by like the person interacting with it. But then I also really enjoy when there's like a stark difference between like the robot and the human being. Project Hail Mary is a prime example of that, where because it's a robot that's benefiting the machine, it's a case of the guy can ask it like an arbitrary question and it's not going to answer. Like, it's not going to have a conversation with you, whereas other robots you might find that actually it is. And I just find it fascinating that there does seem to be, specifically in sci-fi, because I don't know if it's necessarily, it tends to be monsters if it's fantasy. It tends to be a case of a monster based on instinct that then learns empathy in fantasy. So I quite like that as like a parallel.
Very true.
I really like
So I'm guessing this one was a quick read because of how short it is and not because it was...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's not action packed in that sense. I know that even a longer read, if it's action packed, you might read that in like a few hours. But yeah, no, it's merely because it's really short.
Yeah, which is I think what we've mostly went for, but I will find the bigger ones that I got through quickly because I feel like we need more representation of those ones. Eleanor has read them by audiobook, she said. Muscat is very much learning about the human experience. So yes,
Yeah.
Eleanor agrees with what you were
I
saying.
I listened to the audio. And it was a good audiobook. It was on, I think it's still on Scribd if people want to read it and you have a Scribd subscription. I'm pretty sure it's on there. It is a lovely audiobook. The narrator is very good, very gentle, fits the vibe of the book 100%. So I can 100% recommend audiobooking it.
I'm curious about the audiobook now.
See, I started listening to the audiobook, but I think I listened to it on a walk. So after like half an hour, I realised that I hadn't taken anything in. I was like, it's like this. So,
I listened to Be Fortunate by audiobook, and I actually have a physical copy now. I think it's there because Celine got me it for my birthday because she's a doll. And yeah, I really like. I think I'll appreciate it more when I reread it physically, but I do think it is a nice experience as well doing the audiobook. I was at work, so I had nothing else interesting going on in my life. So I was able to focus quite well. And to explain what was going on with the banner, it's Emma's fault, okay? One, she really enjoyed the fact that Celine was uncomfortable. And I'm so sorry, Celine. I was trying to make you slightly bigger, okay? Just like a little bit bigger.
But like, all of a sudden, there was no one here with me. And I was like, what is happening?
It was the fear. It was the, no, please. Like, it was just so perfect. And you know what? It was so funny earlier. I was sat watching YouTube on our television. And Lizzie was going to head upstairs. So I was like, oh, Lizzie's just had a new video come out. I'll stick that on. And Lizzie was literally sat there going, no, please, no, please.
It felt like you all deserted me. And I was like, oh, come back. Don't leave me alone.
For me, it was me having to rewatch and listen to my voice. I was like, why are you doing this to me? This is like a
because
torture.
you're going upstairs.
No, we don't like to listen to our voice. No.
I think the break will be there regardless of how many I put in, but making more does mean less of a break.
Yeah.
Than just like one Celine. Or I think it's the same amount of space between them. Just obviously you've got stuff as it trails. So that's what was happening there. Don't blame me, you know.
You're right there in the comments. We can see you.
Yes, we can see you, Emma. But yes, so I do think as well that but I do think as well that just everything by Becky Chamber, because I've seen her, I've only read one book by her, but obviously she has quite a few novellas out, and then her full novels are also relatively short. Like they're all up in about the 300 page mark.
300 or 400 pages, I think, something like that.
Which obviously, depending on how fast you read, depends on how quickly you're going to get through it. But none of them are massive tomes of like thousands of pages. So I do feel like she is.
And she's a writer.
Yeah.
Really.
Okay, so anything else you want to add, Celine, before you go?
Yeah, unless people have questions.
Well, Hannah, I think, other Hannah specifically, has already done her questions. So any questions from the other three?
No.
Okay, I won't leave it in awkward silence for too long. So next up, we're going to pop Hannah as giving us her recommendation or shins. I don't know if you've got one or more for short.
Just the one. And please don't make me big. I've been working on my anxiety lately, and so I'm just conscious. I can't even speak. Like I'm just very anxious all the time at the moment because I'm working on it. So please don't make me big.
I promise I will not make you big. I promise on my life. I didn't even mean to do it to Celine as much as I did. I just wanted to make her slightly bigger. Celine, I love you so much. You know that, right? You know that, right?
Yes.
Oh, thank the Lord.
I was the guinea pig. That's it. I was like,
yeah, the thing is, like, all it would have taken was moving on the banner at the bottom where everyone sits. All it takes is moving Celine to the end. And then where you were sat is where Celine would have sat. And then we'd have all been down the side. I'm not saying do that to Hannah because
don't experiment right now.
No. No, how do you move someone?
So if you click on like the little things at the bottom, so you see where it says like you're in the show at the bottom and it has everyone's faces. If you select one and move it, you should have the opportunity to like click on. I can't because I'm behind the scenes. But you should be able to like move them across.
I can do that.
Mm. Which one have you got it on for the like site? Obviously, it's like the all of them,
The
right?
group layout. Should I try putting it into Spotlight and then see if I can drag you?
I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, so now move mine to the far end.
No, you don't move.
We're not let you. No, we select.
No.
Maybe it only lets you do it if you pay for it. Because I can do that. I can like move people around.
Maybe.
And I keep saying, "Hey, Abby, try this thing," and then I'm like, "Oh no, I pay for it."
Yeah, no, I think that might be a paid thing. So, Hannah, you get to avoid being made even slightly larger.
Thank you.
But you do get your name repeated a million times.
This is so excessive.
I went with Lore Olympus because I didn't read much the last half of 2022. So it's like, I'm not going to attempt a big book in case I don't actually get through it. So I went with a graphic novel, but it's still like a chunky one. So I felt like, it's still quick, even though it's quite big. But then again, it's quite big art in it. So I don't know whether it is actually chunky, to be fair. But I really enjoyed it. It's they've made Greek myth kind of more contemporary in it, and I've kind of really enjoyed the. Sorry, I am going to be a bit muddled today. I really enjoyed that it's got all like the dark side of it, because you tend to have them like portrayed sort of almost like through rose tinted glasses, because like they were not nice. I'd say people, but they're not really people, are they? They're gods, but you know what I mean. Like they were. Where's Abby gone?
Don't worry about
they were horrible, horrible people.
Chris wants to buy burgers. Okay. This is all I'm doing. It's Chris wants burgers. Chill. It's fine.
Okay. But usually it is like all like, romanticized. Like isn't Zeus lovely? And like they're not in this, which I really enjoyed. There are trigger warnings at the beginning, which I completely forgot about. So towards the end of the book, I was definitely hit like out of left field very strongly. Did not enjoy that, but it is like true to, well, I don't know if it's specifically this myth, but like it's all over like Greek mythology. So it's like at the same time I do like that it's like being acknowledged that it's like part of these stories sort of thing. Because I say the amount of stuff I read where it's like, oh, they're all lovely. I'm gonna like go off and marry this one now. It's like, no, they're not lovely. Like, what are you doing?
I'm curious though. What book have you read where Zeus is a good guy? Because I don't think I've ever read like even modern retellings where they're like, but Zeus is awful. And like I do get what you're saying, because like I feel like with this one, go on.
I was gonna say I probably picked the wrong god, but he was just the first one that came to mind.
Yeah, no, that's like I think you're absolutely spot on, because I've also read Lore Olympus and I read the webtoon before it came out in its volumes, and now I'm hoping all the volumes come out so I can then like just go through all of them. And I think you are absolutely spot on. I was certainly triggered by the stuff that you were triggered by, and thankfully I knew that was part of the story, because the gods involved, it's very heavy in their mythos, that's a thing that happens. But big question, the doggos, do you have a favorite?
I really like the little small fluffy one that's really aggressive.
You like it because it's aggressive or because it's fluffy?
Oh, both.
I just love it.
That's fair.
I can't remember what it's called, but that was my favorite.
It's called like Mr. something, but it is like it's the most absolute chaos demon of a dog. And when there was I think it was the knitting tag done by Cara from Wild Book Garden, I picked the same dog as my favorite character from a book, because honestly that dog is so funny. You know, like in like TV series or books where like the animals have more personality than their owners and they like suss people out really quickly. That is that dog. I would trust that dog to investigate things. Honestly, it's great.
Yes.
I didn't think you were going to say investigate things. I don't know where I thought you were going, but investigating
Like
is not.
I'm really bad at trusting the wrong people. I would let that dog make those decisions for me. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a lot about like this and the second one and kind of the online comic. I've seen it all over.
Yeah.
I've never ended up delving in myself because, ironically, despite my choice being picture based, I don't read that many like graphic novel mangas. So maybe I should give it a go. Other Hannah, you're quite good with my reading taste. Do you think I would like it?
I think you will like it if you are looking to try graphic novels and you want something that is a longer story. So, for example, if you have tried manga and you like a big series, but you want to go from like manga to a like standard like graphic novel, because it is very American, like the way it's written, it hasn't got that necessarily that Japanese manga twist to it. But it is one of those ones that I do recommend if people want to try a genre. It's great for that. If you want to try contemporary because you're not a massive contemporary reader, it's another one that kind of bridges that gap between. So it's quite in that respect, it's quite a gentle read. And it's like, because I know you like to read big, heavy, like either historical or like fantasy books, like chunky boys, it's great as a palate cleanser because you do move through it so quickly. But I can see what Hannah was saying earlier about it being chunky, because I was trying to hold mine for my own TBR video, and they are heavy because the paper use, like, they're such good quality. The way they've been made is so good. They are heavy.
I'll tell you how many pages are in it, but it doesn't have any.
No, really helpful. But I adore it. I've bought all three because I loved the webcomic, and I think there was something like 100, 200 issues or something like that was on the webcomic when I started it, and I did them all in like the span of a couple of hours.
I've got the next two ready to go of these, like in the bind-ups, but I haven't started them yet because I was like, I will get confused over them. But doesn't the fourth one come out this year as well?
Yes, it's out in like a couple of months. Yeah, I've got mine pre-ordered. Obsessed.
I'm sure I'll see that everywhere then.
I have got a question for you, Hannah. How did you feel about the use of colour? Because colour is very important in this like comic, webtoon. Sorry, because I found that really interesting, and it made it really easy to figure out who was connected to who.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that?
So I don't think I'd realised who was connected to who. Like, I've not picked up on that, but at the very least, it meant that I'm not like squinting at these, going like, "Who is that person again?" Like, it helped like really quickly pick up on who's who. So I really enjoyed it. It's also like all this kind of tone for the most part. Like, it's a really pretty one. I really enjoyed the colours. And just the art style in general, to be honest, it's just really nice. Like, I read quite a few graphic novels last year, but it was all like Neil Gaiman and stuff. So this is quite refreshing after that.
Yeah, a bit of a different vibe. Yeah. I have got a comment from, well, quickly just bopping back, Emma also wants burgers. Well, then you'll have to buy them, because I'm not sending burgers to Scotland. I'm back in England now. There's a bug. So I'd read Laura Olympus on Webtoon but couldn't get into it, despite the fact that she reads Webtoons all the time, but she just wasn't gripped by the characters, which is a pity. Like, if you're a character-based reader and you can't get gripped by them.
I do wonder, though, if that's because the main plot points are about relationships and romance. And I know, like, Lizzie and I have talked about how Lizzie is not interested in reading romance as like a standard genre, but when it's a cross genre, you're more likely to pick it up. And I wonder if you enjoyed it because of like graphic novel elements, the fantasy elements and things like that, as opposed to if it were standard. Because what I find really interesting about the way this is done, and Hannah, I'm so sorry that I'm stepping all over your toes with this, is the gods all live in what is very recognizable as a modern world. So they've got cities, they've got cars, they're having parties, there's all this stuff going on. When they go to Earth, it reverts back to their standard Greek ancient state, right? So there's none of that stuff.
They don't go to Earth in this one, so I don't know that yet.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's really interesting. I'm happy about that.
But I really like the fact that there is that split between the two. But I think sometimes it can make it feel very much like a standard contemporary romance, which is possibly why you don't like it. Because I don't know. We've talked about it on my Discord quite a bit about where we sit with romance. I will lap a romance up. Like, it's just got to be good. It's just got to be well written for me to enjoy it. But a lot of people on my Discord, there's varying degrees of ace and demisexuality there that then translates into their reading taste, which I know is not necessarily the case for you, Hannah, because you don't mind
No,
romance.
it doesn't seem to bother me. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about it, but it's more of a hit and miss thing for me. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, that's totally good. I'll eat that up. Other times I'm like, nah, I couldn't care less.
I think I'm the same as you with that. But like I'm on this, and I'm like, if it's a straight romance, like that's all there is to it. I like Lore Olympus because I really enjoy like the Hades and Persephone story. Anyway, I think it's absolutely fascinating, and there are so many. Like there are so many hundreds of books that focus on Hades and Persephone because they are the polar opposites of each other. And what I really loved about Lore Olympus, he was sad boy Hades. And I don't know why, but that is something that I just adore it, especially in graphic novels. I'm not too keen on it on like novels, but for graphic novel, it just works. Sad boy Hades, it's like, it's okay. You're okay. We love you anyway. Like, you'll be okay. And Persephone is, a cinnamon bun we all need in our lives.
An absolute cinnamon roll, for sure. And it has one of my favorite romance tropes, which is he falls first. And it's like, that's kind of what starts like a whole bunch of the story anyway. And it is just like the most adorable trope.
Yeah. But going back to like struggling with it a bit, I did put it down quite a few times at the beginning. Like I did struggle to get into it. But then it kind of hit a point around about the dogs actually that you brought up, where I was like, I just don't want to put it down anymore.
So what you're telling me is that it's just the dogs?
Yeah, for sure.
It's the turning point where it kind of picks up a bit of pace after that.
I have a question. Stupid one. Is it adult? Is it YA? Is it middle grade?
I'd say it's adult. I'd say
adult based on the content.
Okay, because to me, like, it's just a me thing, but when it comes to those kind of books, like they tend to be middle grade, maybe sometimes teens YA, like graphic novels. I mean, like this kind of
it's certainly not.
Middle grade. I know. I'm missing on like a whole genre. I feel like.
I need to make you a list because honestly, there are so many great graphic novels that I can think of off the top of my head that are not YA. Like I think sometimes they can feel YA because where they're graphic novels, they move faster. But the way that is written, that is an adult one for sure.
And also, there are so many conflicts which are like it feels like only an adult would have these conflicts. Although Persephone may come off as kind of like 18, 19-year-old, like new to the world. She still has conflicts that is with other adults. Like it doesn't feel childish. It very feels like a grown-up world. And not once did I think like it was. It didn't feel like a YA conflict to me where they can feel a little bit arbitrary. It doesn't really matter, like you're 15, shut up, your life will be fine. This felt very much these had stakes, like this was important. And it was also I don't know how to explain it, but I definitely would give it to like a 12-year-old. Just let me put it that way.
That's true.
Like a mature like YA like teen reader, very mature one, as in I know myself that I could read adult books quite young, just because that turned out a mess apparently. But like I wouldn't feel comfortable giving it to like someone else's 16-year-old. Like that bracket of like, if I know the kid, and if I know they're fine with it, then sure. But like anyone else's, no. I've got a feeling it's in that bracket of like older teenagers like 16 and up can read it. Am I right? In the vibe?
Yeah,
like,
I'd say so, because at least based on this one, like nothing is graphic, but like there are some tough themes.
Mature themes, yeah. So like, the parents probably wouldn't want them reading it.
Certain things are alluded to that, I think adult audiences understand better. Like the things that they talk about as an adult, you'd be able to infer. And like there are certain things, and I'm sure the thing that probably, the trigger stuff, that as an adult you would catch, like that's the reason it would trigger you, because nothing is like overt, all of it is kind of alluded to, as from what I remember. I think there may have been something that's quite
It
interesting.
is like the scene happens, but it's not. She kind of recedes into herself, so you kind of see like a different scene.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not like it's not overt.
It's not
I'd say it is overt. It's not explicit. You don't necessarily see the thing happen, but there's no misconstruing what is done to her.
Okay.
So,
I'm very
Okay.
curious.
I think you'd really
So-
like it, Celine, to be fair.
We've now discovered that we're getting Celine into graphic novels. Does anyone else have any questions for Hannah about it before I check the comments?
My last question is, how long do you think you'll wait until you touch book 2? Because for me, it was
Who
immediate.
knows? Who knows? I'm hoping to pick it up this month, but my track record is usually about 3 years.
That's fair. That's understandable.
We'll
Yeah.
keep a tab on you. We'll drop you a message if you're ready yet. So let's have a look. Emma is offended that I won't send burgers to Scotland. Suck it up.
Suck it up.
Uh,
Yeah, that's fair.
that's fair. And then me and Emma were just talking about burgers.
Sorry.
Oh,
Trying to smash more things.
I was gonna say you smashed a glass before we got on the live, and then you're trying to smash more. Please tell me that didn't smash.
No, it didn't. I just need more sleep.
I just need more sleep.
And to just calm down.
And then someone was trying to find the live for half an hour. I'm so sorry.
should have
It
asked
wasn't
you
a good
first. I would have given you the link.
Have you guys not dropped it into your Zoom fan Discord?
You think I have a Discord?
Not you.
No.
I'm talking about Celine.
You would think I have a brain. I obviously do not. So-
I don't drop anything in the Zoom fam Discord. It doesn't do me any good.
Yeah, my phone is dead. That is also.
If you'd messaged me, but my phone is dead.
I dropped it in my Discord, so everyone on my Discord saw it.
Autumn, you didn't message me, so there's 2 of us on here that you could have messaged.
Well, okay. This doesn't sound good. I'm on my laptop, and since I'm on the live, I don't have the app opened because I don't want the noises in the
The
background.
internet will go
I
funky.
could definitively not be blamed for this because I don't.
Yeah,
use
this is not your fault at all, Abby. You don't even know who these people are. It's fine.
No,
I mean,
which
technically,
is why I didn't say the names.
technically,
Okay, I suck. I know. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's also me because she did message the socials chat in the Zoom Discord thing, so I also missed it. So apparently, I suck too.
Yeah, I'm not the only one.
All I know
taking-
is it's not me, and that makes me happy.
Yeah. it's definitely-
And then if anyone reads on Webtoon, I'm ready to give all of the recommendations because I read plenty. So if you have any adult ones, we may need to give them to Celine.
And me, because I have signed up to Webtoon, but I haven't read anything on it yet.
Touche.
I was taking accountability, on my actions. I should have checked before I so boldly claimed.
I really enjoyed it. You said it with your whole chest too. It's like you could have
Yeah.
texted me. Oh, you did.
Also, do I know Autumn? No. Do I like Autumn? Yes.
Yes.
My new favorite person. Emma, that's your own fault. You shouldn't have left.
Emma,
Yeah, so-
we are the Total Bollix book club. You didn't think there'd be chaos if you dare turn around
Yeah,
for a
did you not think
second.
that would be total bollocks?
That is
Also, FYI to everyone, I just heard the door go, so at some point my camera will go off and then I will reappear with a burger. So, FYI.
Amazing.
Emma, shut up your whining already. Now, I think that we should move on to Sam, and I will also, before we do, say that this is my stack. So I know that you have more than one, so
I'm not going to
do
talk about all of these. I wanted options. So I
Yeah.
have a stack.
So feel free to mention
Ooh.
1, 2, 5, however many of them you wish.
Can you say
Sam,
a number between 1 to something and we pick a number?
Oh, we could do.
Could do.
Oh no, I'm just suggesting. Shut up.
How many have you got?
Fire. I could do a quick fire because I picked out some thrillers because I think quick and fast reads. I think
Yeah.
thrillers.
Sure.
So like No Exit, I read like a few years ago, and it's like less than 300 pages, and this is like super quick. I read it in like one sitting, so I thought that'd be a good one to recommend.
Yeah.
And then
I will say, Lizzie had a question for you.
Oh, all I was going to say is if you don't talk about the one with the sprayed edge, I just want to know what it is because it
Yeah,
literally.
no,
that's the main one I
I
wanted to talk
told you both
Yeah.
about it.
I was
Oh,
just
yeah.
yeah.
I don't remember.
Because you don't like me. Rude.
I
Anyway.
wanted to
I like build up suspense. I'll talk about that one last. But then, yeah, I also picked up some other thrillers that I really liked. So, like The One by John Mars, which is not like the shortest, but the chapters are really short, and there's a cliffhanger at the end of every chapter, so it makes you want to keep on reading. This is like a dystopian thriller set in a world where people are matched based on their DNA, and so it's kind of about like that. Basically, there's like different people that you follow who've just met their DNA match. But yeah, really liked that one. And then I also have 13 by Steve Kavanagh, and the tagline for this is "The serial killer isn't on trial; he's on the jury," which is all you really need to know. But I stayed up until like 4 a.m. reading this because it was just like, yeah, I kept trying to sleep, but then I kept thinking about the book. Like I started at like 9 o'clock at night, and then like a few hours later, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go to sleep." But then I kept thinking about the book. I was like, "But how does it end?" And so I stayed up until like 4 a.m. I was very tired the next day because I couldn't put it down. It's like the 4th book in a series, but you don't have to have read the other books because they're like companions. But yeah, I enjoyed that one. And then I also wanted to mention Legends and Lattes because it's my favorite book ever.
Yeah.
Which I don't know whether, like, I read this like quite quickly because I was just so invested in the characters and I loved them so much, but I wouldn't call it like a fast read. It's more that it's just so cozy and heartwarming that you don't want to put it down. But yeah, my favorite book like last year. And then we have, I keep wanting to call this a riddle in time, but it's not. It's Lost in Time by A.G. Riddle. So this has beautiful sprayed edges. But this is like a sci-fi thriller, but I think it's more of a thriller than a sci-fi.
I agree. I would say that.
The voice of Abby. But it's not really about this guy, but it's the synopsis says it's about this guy who's a scientist, and he was part of this team that created this time machine that throws people back in time like millions of years. And at first they were like, well, this time machine is you got your burger. And at first people were like, well, this time machine is kind of useless because we can't control where it sends people in time. But then they realized, so like governments around the world have started using it for criminals. So instead of being sent to prison, if you're like a murderer, you get thrown into this time machine back in time, and you end up in the dinosaur ages, and you just have to fend for yourself, basically. But at the start of the book, this guy and his daughter, who's like 19, 20, they get accused of murder. And the story kind of goes from there because one of them ends up being sent back in time while the other is in the present day trying to work out who actually committed this murder. And this was really fast paced. Like it looks like it's chunky, but I read the first 100 pages in like less than an hour. And it just kept on going. Like what's interesting is like one of my criticisms was I felt like it was too fast paced. But I really liked the direction that it went in because I didn't see it coming. And it was as soon as I started thinking of this as a murder mystery rather than like a sci-fi, because the sci-fi it's there because it's about time travel. Like that is quite strong, but I've started to enjoy it more when I thought of it as like a thrilling murder mystery. I really liked it. It's not about dinosaurs though, which like a lot of the marketing was like it's about dinosaurs. It's not about dinosaurs.
Yeah.
This is the thing. If they'd marketed it as like a time travel murder mystery, like brilliant. But both the cover that me and Sam have, which is from Goldsboro Science Fiction Fantasy, it's a special cover, and then also the standard cover, which is less, but it does still focus more on the like landing on the island,
the time travel and like the sci-fi part of it.
Yeah,
the mystery.
and it focuses a lot on that, and then. Because that's why the book got 4 stars for me. If it had been marketed as what it is, it probably would have been a 5-star read. But it was marketed as having loads of dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs, and you just don't have the dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not really about this scientist as well. It's more about his daughter. Like
yeah, very true.
Like important within the plot. And as soon as I realized what this book was, I started to enjoy it. Like the first half, I was thinking, this is not it. I don't like it. But then I got to the second half and it was like almost 5 stars. I was like, this is amazing. So yeah, like it was good, but like not what I was expecting.
Distinct lack of dinosaurs. Like distinct lack of dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Like there's some. There are dinosaurs.
Yeah.
But not enough.
Yeah.
But they could have made more of that. But then I also understand why they didn't make more of that, because it wasn't the point of the book. But then that's what the marketing is. So it was like really confusing. But this was the first book I read this year.
I
Just
do
bad marketing, basically.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I do wonder if it's a split difference between the editorial team that worked on it versus the marketing team that worked on it, and just the severe lack of communication between the two. Because I can't necessarily think of any off the top of my head, but I'm sure I've read books before where I'm like, this was sold to me as one thing, but actually it's something completely different, and therefore that I'm not enjoying it as much because this has not been correctly marketed to me.
I think that's
the mystery is done so well.
Yeah,
in my opinion, the mystery is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the thing about, especially like sci-fi thrillers, where it's part sci-fi, but it's part thriller. And you could almost say the same about The One, because I wouldn't put these two together, but these are both like sci-fi thrillers where you've got like the scientific elements, but then you've also got like the thriller storyline. And so because I wouldn't have put these two together. I was expecting, because it's a Goldsborough book as well, I was expecting it to be more sci-fi and it to be about the dinosaurs, but it's not. I would recommend this more to like people who enjoy thrillers and murder mysteries rather than people who like sci-fi and are interested in that, even though the sci-fi is still like part of the story.
Yeah, like if you hate sci-fi completely and like refuse, then no, that's not the book for you. But if you're fine with sci-fi but it's not your thing, like that is a mystery book. Yeah. But then also, like, if you like sci-fi and you don't read mystery, unless again you hate mystery, it's still a good one. Like the mystery all revolves around sci-fi aspects, like the time travelers caught through the mystery. But yeah, it just wasn't marketed very well.
I have the same impression, and I've been putting it off because sci-fi is kind of like it's okay, but now I definitely need to pick it up based on this.
Yeah, because I would really recommend it. Like, because I think a lot of people wouldn't pick this up thinking, oh, it's a sci-fi book, but like a lot of people have picked up The One, for example, even though this is a sci-fi thriller as well, because it's set in like present day, but this is also kind of like is a timeline in the present day. So it's I would recommend this more for like thriller readers.
I feel like the cover of The One would be more suited for Lost in Time, actually.
Yeah. Because I would recommend these to the same kind of reader, but you wouldn't guess that
so different. Even the other cover, like of Lost in Time, if I try and find it on my phone,
it's kind of like mystery.
But it's still not like. There we go. Get the image up, make it full screen so I can just like show it to the camera. Hello. Full screen? No, you're not going to do full screen. All right, that's fine. We'll do it like that. So
I think this cover is more suited to the story.
But it still does show someone like falling and like falling into like an island, and like I don't want to say too much of what happens, but like it does relate to that aspect, which is not focused on enough.
No.
Like when I read Lost in Time, I felt like that the editors had told him you need to cut out like 200 pages.
That's the thing. I think it's a bit longer. It's already like quite chunky.
Like I 100% felt like he just was told to get rid of loads of pages and just cut out loads of the
which is a shame.
It does feel this way.
Do you think the title fits the book? Because Lost in Time, I would immediately think sci-fi, like that would be my first thing. I'm not a big mystery thriller person, although that is changing rapidly. I won't say never, but I have trouble with mystery thrillers in general. But to me, I'd be like, oh, a really cool sci-fi. And then what you've described is that it is sci-fi. There are sci-fi elements, but it doesn't really. It's just
I guess. Because I understand why it's called this, because it is about someone who gets thrown back in time. But I see what you mean. It does kind of make it sound more sci-fi-ish because of the time. But
I mean, time is a key element in the story, so I guess
The
that's
title
why.
makes sense. I think
does
it
make
is mainly the cover because if
Might
you
not
put
be the best suited title, but it does make sense.
yeah,
That makes
I think
sense.
if you put that title on a cover that looked more like a thriller, no one would like immediately jump to like massive sci-fi themes. They might think, that like someone's like lost their memory or something like that. Like if you put it on the right kind of cover, the title has a different meaning. But yeah, anyway, I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, those were the books. So I can tell you about some of the other ones if you want to hear them. But
Why
Yeah,
not?
look at it. Let's hear a bit more about these ones. Yeah.
okay, let's talk about. Can I talk about Legends of Lost? I just read this book. Has anyone read this?
I've got it on my TBR for next month. I haven't read it yet.
So cute, so
I
wholesome.
absolutely adore it. It's
This
so
is
good.
like this has made me want to read more cozy fantasy because I just loved it so much. Like it's about an orc who decides that she doesn't want to be an orc. Well, she doesn't want to be an orc because she's an orc, but she doesn't want to be a warrior anymore. She's like she's done with that lifestyle of like constantly moving around and like battles and stuff. She wants to move to a city where they don't know what coffee is, and she wants to open a coffee shop. And it's about her like doing that basically. Like she has to recruit people to help her build the coffee shop, and then they develop the menu, and it's just so cute.
It's so cute. It's so gentle, and you're just following.
I really want to pick it up. I really, really want to read it.
Like you want to live in the book.
Yeah,
You really do want to live in the book.
I want to go to this coffee shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to
It
work there.
definitely like such a longing to be part of it.
Yeah,
I really liked as well that like so with this because I read it on my Kindle, but this edition also has like the original cover like artwork inside.
yeah,
But yeah, it's
so pretty.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look in the comments and see what we have people saying. I need to scroll quite a far bit up. Okay, so to jump back to Hannah's, an adult romance with huge mental health subplot and themes of games, and it's called Let's Play. Came to game reference the state of mental health. So that could be something for you to look into if you're interested in that.
It reminds me so much of Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Like this sentence. If you haven't read Tomorrow, Tomorrow and Tomorrow, but like it reminds me of that. The sentence.
I want to read that one. I want to pick that up. And then Emma saying that she's going to talk about burgers, but then also that she thinks it's happened before. The reason you have deja vu of me having food and you being Saki is because it's a thing that for some reason I just always eat on live. I don't know why. It's not on purpose. It just falls at dinner time.
My brain did not read Saki. My brain read Saucy. And I literally was like, and then he said Saki, and I was like, oh, okay. Just needed to say that because my brain just sabotaged me for no reason.
Very, very.
I saw Saucy too, and then was like, Saucy? Oh, Saki. Yeah, that makes sense.
Very scary, but that's probably just my.
No, that's at least the right letters.
No, that
Just
makes
the
sense as
order.
well. Yeah. Not Even Bones is another recommendation. Lemon soda and coffee.
Ooh, I like the title.
So yes, those ones. Go back through the comments. So there's some really interesting recs there. And then wait. So humanity thought, let's give the people of the past / dinos a worse time with all these criminals. Definitely dinos. There's no humans around other than the criminals. It's sent back to the Triassic period, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
They try and justify it like within the book, but it's never like there's a lot of discussion around the morality of what they're doing as well.
Like they're aware that it ain't just chill. They do it anyway. But, welcome to humanity. We do it anyway. Retellings that aren't actually retellings but fully marketed as. Also,
retelling. As being
I don't know if it's me who's echoing, but if it is, I'm sorry. Maybe.
I thought it was me because I put myself on mute, but then it didn't make any difference.
Yeah, I kept thinking it was me. So whenever I'm not talking, I keep like,
Yeah,
"Is it me?"
I love that there was a real difference in how quickly we all read that because we all waved at a different time. It was like a little Mexican wave of waving.
I was very confused. I thought my sound had cut out because everyone was just silent. I was
No,
like,
just
oh.
Is there anything more creepy than a dead quiet live stream where everyone's waving with just one hand?
I'm muting myself. Is the echo still here? I don't know.
Do you think so?
Okay, no one cares. Fine. Trying to.
I did not hear what you said.
Go about it.
Helping out.
And yeah, Emma is just happy that Lizzie and Hannah think that she's saucy. So not much about the books.
Well, no, I didn't think you were saucy. I just read the word as saucy, and then I read it as sassy, and I was like, that's not
Listen,
even a
Emma,
word.
I saw your face on camera for like the first time in person. Like, so yeah, okay, confirmed. Hashtag confirmed. Okay, there you go.
Love it.
Wow.
Okay, so thank you so much, Sam. Also, Lost in Time was a great pick because agree, very, very
Yeah.
agree.
Both great picks, to be
Yeah,
honest.
It looks chunky, but it's not. It's like there's big margins, big text. It's
yeah.
And the chapters are so short, like literally like 6 pages.
Yeah. Some of
And-
the chapters, yeah, literally like a couple of pages. Yeah.
And yeah,
Riddle does something that Landy does, which is Landy who writes Skullduggery Peasant. I was saying it just in case people didn't know, Hannah.
It was like we could forget. Like he's not the greatest writer that ever walked this earth. Like he's not the nicest person on the planet too. Like honestly,
So annoying.
love him.
you need to read
Everything. But yes, it's also the short chapters which you keep you going, but then also with the fact that Lost in Time's a mystery, it leads off on like you always want to keep reading. A similar thing with like how you said with the one, like there's more that's happening and you know that the reveal's coming soon and it's always something more.
Yeah. It just keeps turn the page.
Yeah. It's very hard to put it down.
Yeah. I got to the last 50 pages and I was like, well, I'm not going to sleep until I finished.
Okay, so I think next we'll have Lizzie and then other Hannah, and then we'll end up with me, if that's okay with everyone. No complaints. Cool. So Lizzie, off of mute. Go.
Fine. I guess I'll go next. So, I have probably got the reputation for being a very fast reader among this group. So
yeah. Don't even deny that.
No, I'm not. But like, I consider things a fast read that other people might not think are a fast read. But I've chosen something that is a quick read for most people, and I've chosen a graphic novel called Hollow, and this is a Sleepy Hollow retelling. Kind of. I kind of feel like it's a modern day sequel.
Okay.
To Sleepy Hollow. And just to rep Waypoint Books, because I know Hannah will hate that. Waypoint Books, this was one of the subscription box picks that Hannah picked out for me. So check out Waypoint Books if you want a great sub box. That's just an aside. This is set in modern day America at the Sleepy Hollow High School. This follows Isabella Crane as she goes to a new school. Her family come from Sleepy Hollow, but that's kind of never really mentioned, other than once when one of the guys at school was like, "You're a Crane, you'll fit right in." And she meets I can't remember her name. I literally read this too, like, Victoria Van Tassel, Van Tassel, who is like the main lead in the Sleepy Hollow book, and she's the great granddaughter of Katrina Van Tassel, and everyone in Sleepy Hollow is absolutely obsessed with Sleepy Hollow, and it's Halloween, so it's around October. And suddenly there are all these sightings of the Headless Horseman, and everyone's like, oh, well, this is a prank. Like, this happens every year. Like, this is just some stupid high school prank. Izzy meets the school jock called Croc, who is honestly my favorite character ever. He is so funny. When he was first introduced, I was like, oh, no, I'm gonna hate this guy. Like, I'm just gonna hate him. And then the more we came, like, through the story, I appreciated him more and more and more. He was the resident himbo of the group. He didn't have a clue what was going on. there's a sapphic relationship in this between Izzy and Vicky, and they're really awkward at the start. And then Croc is like, "You guys are acting weird. I don't like it." Like, he completely misses all the clues. And then the more Izzy's like, "Oh, ghosts aren't real, like Sleepy Hollow isn't real, it's just a stupid legend, like it's an urban legend," things happen, and then Izzy's like, "Oh, my bad, this is all real." And it kind of flips a lot of stuff on its head. But this, I gave 4 stars, and the only reason I got 4 stars, not 5 stars, it was very close, was because the ending was really rushed, which in a graphic novel, it is a standalone at the moment. I understand why, like, they had to, bring all the threads together, and this is only 176 pages, so it's gonna be a bit of a quicker ending. But also, the more I've thought about it, the villain wasn't super convincing as a villain. He was very much textbook, "I'm trying to kill you," villain, and that was kind of it. Like, that was all there was to the villain. So it kind of made more sense to me to give it the 4 stars. The thing about it that I love is the art style. It's just very, like, cute. I'll just show you a random page. But, like, it's, like, the horseman. Like, I just really like it. It's a really cool comic book, colourful. Yeah. And the fact that the main character is a lesbian, and it's not even like, it's just her mum gets really excited the first time she mentions a girl at school that she's friends with, and her mum is like, "Oh, a girl, bring her round to dinner." And Izzy's like, can we not though? Like, "Mum, shut the fuck up," kind of thing. And it's just adorable, and the 3 friends are a great friendship group. As I said, Croc is hilarious because he doesn't understand what's going on around him. He's just kind of there as, oh, he ended up there one day. And I just thought the rep was really, really good. The main character is also Hispanic, so that was really cool. And the Pumpkinhead was a really fun, like, it talks and then gets real offended when everyone thinks that he is the Headless Horseman. He's like, "No, bitch, I was just a pumpkin that was enchanted. Like, I'm not. I just speak for him because he doesn't have a head or mouths." So it's just those little, like, really witty bits of dialogue all through this, and I kept on laughing, and I think I was infuriating Hannah because Hannah was reading a very different book on the sofa opposite me, and I just kept on laughing.
It wasn't infuriating at all. It was adorable because I'll talk about the book that I was reading at the time because it is a very quick read, but I was reading it before I went to bed. So I was only reading it in like 5-page chunks. So I was like, I'll just finish it today and then I'll have it like fresh in my mind. But it is very, very different. And it would talk about stabbing and blood and murder. And I'd get to like a really like visceral scene. And then I'd just hear like in the corner. And I'd just be like, mood ruined, but not at all, because I was really excited when I saw this anyway, and I was nervous about it because it's a Boombox graphic novel. Now, I'm an Image girl through and through. I love Image graphic novels, and Boombox have done like Misfit City and a couple of others that like I've really loved 1 or 2 of them, and then the others haven't matched how much I loved the first one. So I was a little worried, but I was very keen on the fact that it is a standalone and a Sleepy Hollow retelling. How did you find with the retelling element of it? Like, how honest to the original story is it, and did that matter?
This is why I don't think I would call it a retelling, because there are certainly elements of it being a retelling to the degree that the Headless Horseman exists, but it very much felt like a continuation from the original story. I definitely wouldn't mark it necessarily as a retelling. I would probably say it's like a sequel or like a companion, like What If, it's decades later, like it's set in the modern day, and what happens when an old foe comes back. And because the Van Tassel family is massive in Sleepy Hollow, and Vicky is very much like, I didn't ask to be born a Van Tassel, and like now maybe I don't want to be Katrina 2.0. There's lots of like, I fucking hate that I am a Van Tassel in it. But the actual story I guess because Izzy's a crane. I don't know. Maybe like you could say that is taken from the original, and the names are taken from the original story. But I don't think this is true to, or at least not the story that I remember. Because I think I just remember the film and probably not the book. Because I've read the book maybe twice, and the film is like way better. That's totally beyond the point. But I certainly wouldn't say it's super true as a retelling. But as a sequel, it's fantastic.
I'm very curious about that, but I'm also scared because the last retelling isn't great for me. So I don't know if do you think I would like this one?
You know something, Celine? In my latest video, because of you, I had to basically say that one of my favorite books this year isn't for everyone, and one of my favorite authors isn't for everyone. And I was like, I just have to accept that it's okay because it's fine. I love this author more than anyone else, and that's okay. They're for me. But it's because of you I had to put that little disclaimer in so people wouldn't be mad at me when they didn't like it. I don't think you'd like this one.
No.
I'm going to be honest because this is more YA. Like this is 100% a YA book. Like it's about teenagers. It's written in that fast-paced style that YAs usually are. I just don't think I think adults can read it and enjoy it. I'm an adult. I enjoyed it, but I also know that YA isn't you don't tend to enjoy them in the same way. And this also feels more comic booky that I'd say than Lore Olympus does in like a strange way.
Okay.
So I think this one is kind of targeted to a slightly younger audience. And the way they talk about certain elements in this, I feel like it's marketed towards a younger audience.
That is fair then.
So I don't know, you might like it. Like I would never discourage you from picking it up because it is fantastic, but just knowing your reading taste, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be super convinced. This wouldn't be the first thing that I'd recommend you. And I fucking learned my lessons about Sleepy Hollow retelling Celine. So, just give me a flashback and
Yeah, I won't ruin this one for you. I won't read it.
Go ahead, ruin it for me. I dare you. I just love I just love seeing a sapphic relationship that was so natural and no one made a big deal of it. The himbo character was here for it and being a proper bro and being yes, we love you, big up. So I just really appreciated everything about this, to be honest with you.
That's fair. So basically any lesbians or women liking individuals who are not generically right. You know what? Hannah was saying she needs to. Hannah was saying that she needs to sleep. I slept on the train and it did not help me at all. You know what I mean? Okay.
Yeah, I think Lizzie covered it with the word sapphic. To be honest.
Yeah.
Gay people read it.
I think
the LGBTQ community.
I will also use a phrase that I've already used to talk about another book that wasn't a graphic novel. If you like Heartstopper, but make it sapphic and put some Halloween shit in it. Can I interest you in it?
Halloween vibe. Sold.
Halloween vibes, which sometimes we need.
And a bit more ghosts, I guess, because, Heartstopper doesn't have ghosts, but, spooky vibes.
I'm sold on it at the very least.
There is also a character that is on walking sticks. They don't say what her disability is, but she is, she's a tarot card reader, but, there's a witch mentioned in the story, and I think she's supposed to be a descendant. And she's an amazing character too, and she's really funny. And I really enjoyed her part of the story because there was a lot of you want to tell me more kind of bits because they try and go and poke around in her shop. And she's like, okay, well, you have to pay to be here kind of thing. And it's great. So that's another great rep.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think you should have started with that, to be honest.
Well, I didn't think of it until just when I said it.
Not good enough.
I know.
Honestly. But yes. So does anyone else have any questions about this Sleepy Hollow retelling? What's it called again?
Just
Hollow. Okay. No? Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Lizzie. Now we have other Hannah. What are you telling us about? Wait, let me get your banner up.
No, I wasn't sure if it was going to be just Hannah again, and I was like, do I just ask you to put Rizzio in it? Because what a name. What a name. So Rizzio is teeny tiny. It's a little novella that I bought purely as a cover bar. It's very bright yellow.
It hurts my eyes.
Yeah, I'll put it down in a sec. I just want you to see like the dagger.
I was about to say, I can't quite see what the detail is on it. Is it like a dagger?
Is it blood?
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
I love the fact that it immediately goes dark around me when I was like, if I hide my face. But yeah, essentially. So this is part of like a companion trilogy. If you guys have seen Hex by Jenny Fagan, which has been everywhere, which is meant to be like a Scottish history short story, this is another novella in that series. And essentially, the premise of this is you've got Mary Queen of Scots is having a supper at, I can't remember if it was Hollywood or Hollybrook, it's something like that, at her castle, essentially in Edinburgh. And she's pregnant. She's in her 3rd trimester. And as far as she is concerned, life is good. She's about to basically make it so that her husband cannot be king because, excuse my language, he's a fuckwit and he is very much being puppeteered by his father. She's making sure that her alliances are nice and strong so that she's not going to be taken over by England. And she's kind of, everything is like falling into place for her rule. And her husband, previously mentioned, is gonna like come up, stab her friend, and start a coup. And basically, it's based on real events that this supper really happened. That she was having dinner with her friends, her husband, a whole bunch of lords basically kidnap her, hold her hostage, kill a whole bunch of people, and they basically use this man Rizzio as an excuse to do that. He was an Italian who walked from, I think. He was an Italian that like then was like raised in Nice and walked from Nice to Edinburgh. It took him 3 months to get there. And by the time he got there, he'd gained quite like a following and he became one of the closest advisors to the Queen and a really good friend of hers. And she trusted him implicitly and her husband didn't like that. Doesn't matter that her husband was the one having a relationship with him, not her. He then spread all these rumors around how the child might not be his. And what I loved about this, other than the fact that it is teeny, teeny, tiny, is the way it is written is so clever because there were a couple of parts that I read to Lizzie earlier, so I'm sure like Lizzie will kind of like back me on this. There are some times when the sentences are really short, like truncated, sharp, and it's just to kind of give you this thing. And then there's other times where what Mina does is they build up almost like a collage of little like vignettes, and then they leave something in at the end that is just there to kind of like break your heart. So there's like these 2 men, for example, who are loyalists to the Queen. They are right over the other side of the castle. They have no idea that it has been taken over by someone else's soldiers, that all of her guards have been slain or removed or arrested, and they're just having like a nice dinner. And one of them is literally described as being like adventurous, kind. He's like a really soft boy. He's also a rapist, and like that's literally like how it's described. So absolutely go in being aware of content warnings. There is a lot of violence, there is a lot of blood, it is brutal. Like at no point does Mina go, you don't need to hear a visceral description of how this body is lying on the floor having been stabbed by 80 men. It goes into like heavy detail because it is so powerful. And I loved that. I love that there was this really nice balance of very clever writing, a thing that really happened, and the empathy the audience needs to feel to understand why it happened and what happened after that. Even the villains are somewhat not empathetic. Like obviously I hate the like the guy who wants to be king, but you can even see where he's being played. And because it's from close third, you're never in the person's head fully, but you can see how other people are reacting to them. And there are certain characters that are completely overlooked because of their status, and that is explained. And you can see, once you're told that, you can see just how much power they have in kind of helping these machinations move forwards. So I just thought it was really, really clever. But it was a total cover buy. I just happened to spot this in Waterstones and was just like, love a bright yellow with blood all over it, sure. And like I like a historical fiction, so I feel like if you like Hamnet or if you like Hilary Mantel's modern style of historical fiction, with all of the drama and like tension and brutal descriptions of like if we were villains or like a true Shakespearean tragedy, this is it. And I was so pleased that I got to pick this up because, like I said, I don't think no one has recommended this to me. I've not seen anyone else talking about it, but it just ticked so many boxes for me. So yeah.
Have I read any of the books that you linked it to? No. Do I want to read it desperately? Yes.
Right? It's so good.
This. But I want to read it.
Yeah.
I was about to say, you've kind of sold it to me. I was going to ask, because you mentioned it's like historical fiction, and you mentioned a few books it's similar to. Would you recommend it to someone who maybe doesn't read historical fiction? Would you say that you could still like enjoy
I would
it?
say if you like a drama, if you like a thriller, if you like kind of thrillers that have that thriller vibe, or gothic fiction where it's not necessarily historical fiction. So if you like things like My Sister the Serial Killer, where you're in that person's head, not a lot is happening, but when it does happen, it's brutal, then yes. And I would also recommend it for people who are trying historical fiction for the first time, because the way it's written is very modern. You're not going to get lost in Shakespearean dialogue. It's not very, very heavy in description. You're not spending hours reading about the goddamn curtains. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's none of that. The only things you are told about, it's almost like reading a play. You are just told about what you need visually to understand what's happening. And then you are kind of given this inner monologue of what the other people are thinking and doing. So if you've never tried historical fiction before in your life because you're like, oh, it's going to be super boring, or it's just not an era that you care about, I am super excited about anything Tudor related because I find that period in history wild. Mm-hmm. So the idea that this is at the end of that is just so interesting to me. And there's all this additional tension because she's carrying this baby. Her husband wants her to lose the baby because it makes him more officially the king if there's no heir. So there's all this stuff that then talks about how easy it was to lose a baby and how terrified she is that this is something that could happen that would then secure him as king rather than her child. And it's like all these kind of like power plays, all these layers in less than 100 pages.
Yeah. That sounds like a lot that is happening in such a short book.
I was going to ask, so I have a problem with books that do go overtly gory, as I found out for another book club, which we're not going to talk about here. But do you feel like because the book is so short that some of the plot points weren't completely like, how do I explain it? My brain has stopped.
Weren't like fully like explored.
No, I mean like things weren't
so
too quick, and they weren't being able to kind of sit back and reflect on those things. Was it too much all of the time? Because what you're describing feels like a lot in less than 200 pages or something, whatever you said. Like that.
Literally the whole thing, the whole book is 118, and I think about 20 pages of that is just so there's like the last chapter is called Traditionally Associated with Mary Scott. That is just about what is left in the castle now. That's not even necessarily part of the story. It's almost the inspiration for why Denise Mina wrote it. So it is part of the narrative, but it's not really. So the actual story is 104 pages.
It's
that feels short, and like I'm interested because if like from what you're saying, like everything about it makes me want to pick it up. Like I wanted to read Hex for ages because that's been banging around the internet for a long time now. But I'm just wondering, with it being so explicit, does it give it enough time to understand the explicit thing before the next explicit thing happened? Because that's when my problem comes in, when it's like just go with nothing in between.
So it's not that it's not like a horror where it's like jump scare after jump scare or like everyone's bleeding all of the time. The violence is very much at the beginning, and then the threat of violence is throughout. And there are other moments of violence. So like one of the guys, like he takes what he's done in that room and then it goes way overboard in a completely different area with a completely different person, but in his mind for the same reason. And he does something that feels really left field because of that. But he's clearly had a break because he's struggling to deal with what he's done previously, and I've tried really hard to not spoil any of that, but it's history, so I feel like if you were to Google it you would know exactly what I'm talking about.
You did well. I have no
you.
clue what event occurred, and I know a
There's
little
things
bit
that
about
happen in this book.
British, so
But
Well,
I
no,
do
it's-
feel
that answers my question, that it's going to be like, it's going to have something, there's more substance to it.
there's no like break, there's no moment of like you can relax, so there's no kind of like, you know, like you might read an epic fantasy and there'll be a massive battle and then there'll be just a moment of like quiet as the fog rolls over and the characters are like thinking about the heinous things they've done. That doesn't happen. It moves from character to character to character, but because the writing is so concise, and it is one of those ones where I feel like if you were picking a book to analyze, this would be great, because I feel like you could pick apart every sentence. Every sentence has something worth noting. There's no way I'm annotating this book because it would be every single line, you know? So I feel like it isn't that it gives you a break. It isn't that you will feel that moment of relief before the next bit. The chapters are very short and they have like specific titles. So that's kind of where I had my breaks, was when I got to the end of a chapter and was like, this is awful. And then you kind of move on to the next thing and have your own mini break, if that makes sense.
do you have like, because what I need sometimes with like violent books is kind of contemplation time. So is that kind of found in the viewpoint of following the characters themselves as they kind of contemplate their actions in a way?
Yes and no, because all of this happens over 24 hours. There really isn't a lot of time for contemplation. Also, the this, and like that is again something else for content warnings, misogyny rife. Like the reason they're killing her in the first place is because they don't want a queen, they want a king, right? First and foremost, she's done too much, she's become too powerful, and like that's kind of why I love her so much. Like the way this is portrayed is so clever, because you are absolutely on her side with regards to all these awful men, because they're so proud of themselves. There isn't really that break of contemplation, because they're just patting themselves on the back, or they're plotting to escape, or they're plotting to kill someone, or they're plotting for this, that, and the other. The closest you get probably is as some of them are going to bed and going to rest, but even that is brought short because of other things that happen. So I do think part of the reason this book is so short is because if it were any longer, and if these people had time to think about what it was they'd done, that would not feel authentic, because everyone's just kind of reacting. They're all hot-headed. They're all reacting on emotions or that, for like fear of their lives, whatever it is. It's far more condensed. Yeah, you don't really get those kind of like quiet, gentle moments.
It sounds fascinating though.
It's so good. It's so
Video
good.
will be available on Waypoint Books to purchase.
Yes.
I think something that I will find interesting reading it is because it is so short. Because if it's a short book, you either have one of two things. You come out of it thinking that was too much and it wasn't like there was not enough time, or you come out of it thinking, why, like that needed to be a full-length novel. Like you get one of two reactions. And I think what I find interesting is that you're saying there aren't quiet times, but I feel like that is more of like edge of the seat the entire time, because you're waiting for something to drop. And those are my favorite types of books with when tension is built that way, because something huge has happened at the beginning. So the whole time you're like, shit, what's going to happen next? So that sounds like I would enjoy it for that reason. It just has to have something else other than these really shocking, horrific moments that just keep on coming and coming and coming. Not because I need the contemplation time, but because I'm like, well, why am I reading this? This feels like there's no substance.
Well, it's really interesting, like, because if I'm not going to obviously share where it happens, but if I say at what point the main synopsis is done, it's here. So you still have all of this to go. And yet somehow it's really interesting, because you keep thinking, oh, they're going to get away with it. Oh, no, they're going to be arrested. Oh, this has happened. And there is always a question that needs answering that carries you over. And I'm amazed because it's been a really long time. Don't get me wrong. I love a book that entertains, but every now and then I find a book that I'm like, I wish I could write like this. Like, this is so clever that I'm just like, I'll be thinking about it till the day I die. This is like genuinely my favorite book of the month. Right at the bloody end of it, because of course it is. It was so good.
And is anyone surprised that the bookseller has managed to pitch the book that all of us probably want to pick up? No one's surprised.
No,
Let's have a look.
It's my job.
It is. So yes, let's see the comments, see what there is. I will say, Rain is not historically accurate.
It really isn't, and it really upsets me. But it is that character. It is Mary, Queen of Scots. It is that Queen of Scots.
But yes, it does tell you a little bit about her. But not loads.
The actress, Adelaide What's-Her-Face, is a wonderful actress, but Rain as a series is bad.
There are many fantastic actresses in Rain. Susan from Narnia is in Rain.
Mm-hmm.
Caitlin, honestly, fix your TBR.
I am going to, whilst you're talking about your book, and I will be listening, I'm going to update both Waypoint and the Total Bollix Twitter so that it has all of our recommendations in a little list.
Yes. If anyone doesn't know, I'm pretty sure I linked it down in the description. I may have actually also linked our channels, just not like in the new way where you can just click it. I think it is just the hyperlinks because you can't schedule it with the clickable links. So I do think that Waypoint is down below. So save that in your tabs, Hannah's Bookshop, because it will have all of our recommendations there.
There's also a little spreadsheet that Hannah had made where our reads will be
Actual
logged.
Hannah, not other Hannah.
Yeah, the Hannah that's over that way in the other corner, where all our reads will be logged, which has got what genres they are and how many star rating we gave it. So
yeah, it makes me so sad that these dramatic series that are historical fictions are never accurate because they could.
You know what it was that got me? Because for most part, with the Tudors, okay, there were things in the costumes that didn't make sense. There were historical actions that seemed to take 2 days when actually they took 4 years. Things like that. Some characters they aged up, like Anne Boleyn. I'm fine with all of that. Do you know what Rain did that really upset me? She had a bath in a copper bathtub. And that was it. I was out. I was she rocked up in Vera Wang and I was fine with it, okay? She's wearing this white lace fishtail dress that is quite clearly a wedding dress, but just to hang out. And I was like, okay, they played to the budget. MTV music, to be fair, it was produced by MTV, so there's only so much they can do. They've got really incongruous music playing in the background. At the bathtub, I genuinely remember throwing my, I turned it off and threw my remote. I was dead to me. Sorry.
The bathtub did it. You're so extra. Okay. I would ask if anyone has any more questions about Hannah's, but I think that we went through that so thoroughly that we now all want an TBR. So it is me now, unfortunately. Apologies. Let me turn off the little banner because I'm not other Hannah.
Are you going to do yourself a banner?
I was not. It felt a little awkward to just. I was laughing to have me.
No, do a banner that says Abby.
Put a fucking banner up, thank you.
We all had a banner.
Yeah, we all had a banner that was hella distracting. So you must have a banner that was hella distracting too.
Okay, fine. Fine.
There we go.
How's that? A lot of
Incredible, amazing.
Everyone happy? Wonderful. Look, it was other Hannah's idea
as well. There's no break. It's just continuous as well. There's no break.
I think I think it's just a lot of names. I think I just put a lot of her name in. I just copied and pasted it and just held down paste. There is no, you're right, there's no break. How is there no break?
It's like squiddish, just like pretty pattern, just like scrolling across the screen. I'm tired, I'm sorry.
But we all know. But yes, these are the books that I am interested in mentioning for quick reads. The one that I'm going to mention is one that other Hannah was astounded when I didn't. There's the break. Was astounded when I didn't immediately say that I was going to be telling everyone about this, which is a manga I read recently. Look at Busy.
Well,
Because
I'm excited because Hannah, other Hannah, this one, recommended for my sub box this month that book. Because I was really excited when you mentioned it to me the other day, and I love books about cats, so that's why I'm excited to hear about it.
Yes. So this was gifted to me by my partner. We apparently have a thing where he gets me Japanese cat books now. Not sure. It happened last Christmas. It happened this Christmas. I'm not complaining. So this is A Man and His Cat by Umi Sakurai, and it is a manga about this. Well, it describes him on the back as an elderly gentleman. He looks like 50. So I feel like this is like slightly insulting to call him elderly, but still, that's how it's described on synopsis. And he is alone in this volume. It doesn't tell you why he's alone, but it does mention that he had family, like a wife and kids, and they are not in the picture anymore. So I assume that they've passed away, but it doesn't actually say, and I have not read the second volume, so that's not a spoiler. I don't know. And he then goes into it's not. I guess it's a pet shop. I was going to say an adoption center, but no, he pays for the cat. So he goes into a pet shop and he finds this cat that has been marked down massively from like 270,000 yen down to 90,000 yen. Because nobody wants this poor cat. And he decides that he's going to take it home, and it's just them like falling in platonic love with each other, of just like so much trust and love as like owner and pet. It's just beautifully done. I spent the entire time, right? I've told everyone apart from Sam about this book already. Because as soon as I read it, I was like, ah! But I wasn't able to tell, well, I guess I could have sent a voice note, but I didn't tell you guys the noises I was making. I tried to describe them, but I'm sat here reading this going, the entire way through. This is how cute it is. I sounded like a fucking dolphin. I turned into a dolphin. Like, the cat is, like, don't get me wrong, the cat's ugly. But at the same time, like, it's so adorable. Like.
It is. It actually really is.
I mean, that looks like a cute cat to me, but, just saying.
But, like, ugly cute. Like, it's not, like
ugly cute.
Like, ugly cute is a thing. Like, when the cat is just, oh, no, it's so cute. I can't show you that. It's too cute. See, I'm doing it just like rereading it.
Yeah, it's really cute, but
it's adorable. It's adorable. Like, literally, my partner got me this just because it is a cat. This is the entire reason I got this, and I'm now obsessed, and I require each and every single volume ever. I need them all. So, if you want something that, I mean, it's a quick read because it is not very big anyway. It is about 150 pages, and it's a manga. So they're always pretty quick reads. Also, the art style in this is quite simplistic, so I know some people can take longer reading through mangas when they're wanting to kind of absorb the art style and look at all the different drawings, but the art style here is quite basic and minimalistic. So that also then speeds up the reading time because you're not spotting loads of little details. Everything that's there is very obvious to you. And it's beautifully done. It's so cute. Like, if you want feel good and you don't specifically want fantasy, this is just look at it. Look at it. It's too cute. So then we've done that one. I will very quickly go through the others. This is my main one. I have a YA and a middle grade fantasy. YA fantasy is The Stone of Destiny by Caroline Logan. This is a Scottish fantasy written by a Scottish author and inspired by Scottish mythology. The first book starts out where we meet some Selkies, which is on the front, seals that turn into humans. It's part of Scottish folklore. And we meet the grumpiest main character. She's like an old grumpy grandpa, but she's like 17 to 19 across the span of the book, and she's like an old grumpy grandfather. It's fantastic. and she has this hammer that she throws. That's how she attacks. She doesn't, have a sword or anything. She just throws a hammer at people. Fantastic. And this just has everything. It's got the world building. It's got the character development. It's got the plot development. Like, it's fantastic. And I read that book in 2 sittings over 2 days. And the only reason it wasn't in 1 day is because I was reading it when I was supposed to be taking calls when I used to work in the call center. That's how good that one is. This one is just representing the entire series, but Skullduggery Pleasant. So this is not small. This is a fairly chunky read, coming in at about 650 pages. And
this is the first.
Huh?
This is the first book?
No.
Okay.
This is the last book.
This is the last book, my bad.
Yes, this is the final. I mean, it's called Until the End. This is the final book that is currently out and currently published in the Skullduggery universe. And I picked it because it's the biggest one, and despite the fact that it's the biggest one, I read this all in 1 day. It's a middle grade. It starts off as a middle grade. It gets a bit more YA-ish as it goes on. But yes, we have a skeleton detective and a young girl who learns about magic, and they end up fighting crime together. It's set in Ireland. It's very British Isles humour. It's fantastic. It's hilarious. We did an entire book club about it. That's why I know Anna is because of this. It's fantastic. Great middle grade. And then we have 2 adult classics. One of them, I'm looking at Lizzie right now on my screen.
I am stressed. Adult classics that are quick reads. That's a nightmare scenario for me.
No,
I'm not been reading
a book club. It's not fast, quick at all whatsoever.
I bow down to you, Abby. I bow down to you because I feel like I would take it. But like, this is the whole point of this book club, right? Because Abby's just proven that Abby feels like this is quick. To me, I could never, because classics I always like, unless it's middle grade classics, those are the only ones that I can read quickly. I always fall over.
But also, do you remember when I read this?
Yes.
Do you remember, Lizzie, when I read this?
I was amazed then, and I'm still haven't gotten over it, Abby. So yeah.
For context, I read this during Lizzie's readathon, which was over a week. My brain is forgetting what it was called. Dear Christ, someone help me.
Middle Earth-a-thon.
Thank you. I'm an awful friend. And this is the complete collection of Sherlock Holmes stories by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. It's every single one of them. It is 1,120 pages long, and I read it. And I read it within the week of the readathon, along with 3 or 4 other books. The reason why I think that this is a quick read is they're short stories individually. They're quite small inside of here, and I find that I'm able to go through them quite quickly when I read a lot of short stories back to back. Evidenced by the fact that I got through this in a week. And also, I just really like Conan's writing style when it comes to Sherlock Holmes. I've not read anything else from him. I don't know if I will, but when it comes to Sherlock, he manages to write stuff that is similar to what we were saying about Lost in Time, when me and Sam were talking about that kind of mystery where there's always something new. There's always something that's coming up that you know is going to come next that keeps you interested and wanting to know more. So... And then this is the one where Lizzie's just going to start crying. Because, like, why am I recommending this in a quick read? Brace thyself. Brace? Okay. So the Count of Monte Cristo. By Alexandre Dumas.
Unacceptable. No. Cut.
What? No, you know what? I can understand. No, I can understand that because once I got into the story, I fairly read that quickly. But you really need to get into it to begin with.
I don't even know who you people are. I feel like I speak to an alternate.
It took me like a year to do like 400 pages. No.
I was about to say, I have the audiobook for this, and it's 50 hours and 44 minutes long.
I mean, to be fair, I want to make this clear. This is what this book club is all about, okay? And I'm all here for these recommendations. I think you're insane, but that is totally my opinion. But also, I feel like if this is a classic that's accessible, then as a classic, then yes, it might be a quick read, just not in the way that the rest of us interpreted this prompt.
Well, that sounds like a you problem.
It is a me problem. How dare you?
But so I read this because since 2021, me and Olivia Savannah from Olivia's Catastrophe have been reading a chapter a day of a massive classic. War and Peace took us almost 10 months. This took us like 3, and we kept getting annoyed that we couldn't read more chapters because we knew that like if we did, like 10 chapters every day, it would probably get too much just because we were trying to read it on the same days and we both have lives and it doesn't work. But you could 100% just sit and read this over like 2 weeks, reading like 10 chapters a day.
That's true.
The it's just so readable. It's just so readable.
Actually is. She's right, and I hate that, but I think she is. And I really hate it. Because I'm still not even sure.
Again, Celine will hate me for saying it, but am I wrong in that, again, similar to, it's not a mystery, but similar to mystery stories, there's always something
There's always something
that you want to know what's going on next. Have you read this, Hannah?
I DNF'd it at 800 pages because sweet happened that I cared about. Because I had to sit with him for 400 pages in a cell whilst he just worked out what we had seen happen. If it had started at that point, if it had started with him in prison or getting out of, fine. But we didn't. I didn't care. I have not cared about a book less in my entire life. And you know what's really funny? My best friend Shane, that's his favourite book. And he got me a really nice copy.
So yes,
it's long. Let's all agree that it's just long.
It's not for me. It's not just that it's long, because I'll read a long book. I won't love it, but I will read a long book. It's the fact that I really could have done without about 800 pages of it.
But like the thing is, he was being paid by the word. That's why it's
it's the same reason I won't read. I will not read The Hunchback of Notre Dame. David Copperfield will not read because he was both men, paid per word. Not going to happen.
Which is why I still stand by the fact that A Christmas Carol is one of Charles Dickens' best ever works, because he wasn't being paid by the word.
Can I just say something? I think it's really funny that you said to Sam, "Oh yeah, you've done like novels. Like I'm going to pick out some novels," and you literally said, "Hold my beer. I'm going to recommend The Count of Monte Cristo," and I find that so
for a quick read. Like if you were like an interesting read or a read with an interesting plot twist or like a quick read.
See, I kind of understand it though, because like I think you have quick reads, but then you also have like fast-paced reads, and I think you can have big books.
It's not fast-paced.
Fine, I would agree with you as well on that, Sam. But Abby prefaced this with, "I've been reading this with Olivia. It took us all year."
It didn't take us all year. It took us 3 months. Read 1 chapter a day.
This might be my favorite thing.
Not fast-paced either. We have very, very slow chapters.
This might be my favorite thing you've ever done, Abby. This is genuinely, like, I love you so much because this is hilarious. And, like, this is a sort of chaos that we are as a group, because, like, I'm like, I could never, but, like, I appreciate what you're trying to do. And I'm like, this is hilarious to me.
I don't appreciate it, actually.
Anna, shut up. I'm showing these two because they are similar sizes. They're not exactly the same. This one is slightly smaller. Okay? But they're similar sizes. They're done by the same publisher.
You can hurt people with both of those books if you
precisely. That's why
you build a house.
She doesn't even need to. She doesn't even need to like throw it at me. She's making me feel physically sick looking at them.
But this one, I would never. This is so slow. This is a slog. Like each chapter is effort. Like I still think it was a worthwhile read. Like I still enjoy reading it. If you like classics and you read big books, like go for it. Would never, ever, ever. But for the size that it is, considering that it is a similar size to War and Peace, for the size that it is and how fast you can get through it.
I'm that size. How angry I am. I've had to take my cardigan off.
Well, then I could have selected The Name of the Wind, I think. It was a fast read.
Okay.
Wait.
I agree. Wait, I agree because I read that in 2021 and it was my last read of 2021 and I had half of the book left and it was 11 o'clock at night. I finished that book in 2021. Because like I do agree with that, but I do think you have to be a certain kind of reader because Name of the Wind is slow. There are beats to it, and there are fast bits within the story, but it is a slow read. So I do think you have to be a certain type of reader for this to work. Although I can understand Hannah's anger because
it feels obnoxious because I am not a fast reader, right? And like whenever we would talk about skullduggery and stuff, I would be like, I'm going to do the audiobook so that I can keep pace with people because we used to like chat in the group chat and stuff. And the only person on the planet I know that reads faster than Lizzie is Abby. So of fucking course she rocks up with a tome that is literally, oh my god, no, it's obnoxious.
I didn't mean to do it like that.
No, it's fine. You just come in with your elitism, your reading speed elitism. That's fine. Do what you want to do,
also, can I just remind people here that a lot of the people on this stream, including a certain other Hannah, have got degrees in English literature. I studied rocks.
Okay.
I went to Italy and licked the rocks.
Excuse me. I was all on your side, and now you're coming for my degree. Like, I think I've just proven that classics are not my thing. But like, I feel attacked, like, from out of fucking nowhere, Abby. What?
I didn't read any of those books. I picked select chapters based on the wiki page. Actually,
Same. Actually, same.
You got 2-1 though.
Wait, I'm sorry. So I get told off for licking rocks, but you can just read partial chapters. And
Yeah, I
that's
didn't
fine.
lick the books. That would be weird.
Yeah, the thing is, if you could write an essay that was convincing enough of your argument, the professor couldn't tell you no. That was the whole thing about English literature. If you had enough to back up your point, you didn't need to read the damn book.
Well, damn it.
I was a lazy student.
I do think it's like a literature thing where you learn to argue your point no matter how little evidence you have. And it's probably why arts students and science students don't get on.
Why are we friends?
Because you and I fucking love an argument. So you and I were like, yes, this is my person.
Yes. I feel like though.
We can argue and insult each other, and the other will be fine with me. That's great.
No, but I feel like we are all overachievers at heart, and I think we're just coming into the competitive nature, which is why both Hannah and I are as offended as we are that you chose classics. So I mean, it's just the overachiever and the competitive nature that I have. And I wish I could.
If you want a quick classic, I'd recommend Jane Austen.
Or literally any Gothic, because they're usually only like 200 pages.
But like Jane Austen's very quick to read.
I love Jane Austen.
I used to read, I used to read accessible. And I'm sure I used to read it. I used to read it a few times. I'm sure I used to read it in like a couple of days. Yes.
Quick classics. A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
It's 100 pages, this edition, and it's shorter than a standard paperback as well. So that is a very quick classic to read. And Passing by Nella Larson, which also has the perk of being a classic that is by a black author. So it's not white like a large number of classics are. And this is also a very, very quick read. So there you go. Right, look, I just meant that like compared to what you would expect picking it up, you would expect to pick that up and be reading it for the rest of your life. And you're not.
Yeah.
I would be.
I did.
I think if you know you like classics, then that would be where the classic would come in.
Should I just move us back to the cat book?
Yes, please.
Cat book, small cat book.
That's the one I'm putting on the website. I'm not putting the Count of Monte Cristo on my website. It ain't happening.
Well, I think you should put as I collapse the pile, the Stone of Destiny on as well.
I am trying to see if that one is available. I don't know if I can get that one in, but if I can,
I don't know if it's published by an indie Scottish publisher called Cranachan Books. Probably not.
It's fine, because Skullduggery Pleasant and The Man and His Cat is available, so.
Exactly. However, although you can't get it through Waypoint Books, which is disappointing, Cranachan Books does do free shipping throughout the entire UK. So if you are based in the UK, then you can just get this and the other 3 books in the quadrology with no extra shipping charge. FYI, just go to the website.
If they're an indie publisher as well, I think we're here for supporting indie publishers and indie bookshops in general. Our preferred indie bookshop is Waypoint Books, though, for obvious reasons. But that one sounds like I'd like to give my money to them too. So this is
and they do all Scottish authors. Cranachan, it's a Scottish thing. The Scottish pudding. So it's all Scottish authors as well if you're wanting to do something that is not English or American based. Highly recommend. But looking at the comments, oh my god.
Hey, so Tamar, when I come and visit you, we're going there, right? I'm just inviting myself to where you live, by the way.
Also, I'm living for Lizzie's comments. All cats are cute. Also, if you would like any more recommendations in terms of like, oh, what do people think of the Stone of Destiny? Read it. Read it. The Four Treasure series is the name of the entire series. Yeah, that was, look, right. The prompt for Lizzie's readathon was to read a short story collection. And that collection of Sherlock Holmes books was the only one I had. Okay? Madam?
I didn't make the prompt to spite anyone. I was expecting like an anthology of like short stories. Like I've got one of all like witch stories that are like 300 pages, like the size of a normal book. So of course, when Abby rocks up and says the only anthology that they have is the Sherlock Holmes one that's over 1,000 pages, I felt fucking terrible. But I didn't.
It's all right. I fixed that for Abby. That is not going to be the case for Middle Earth this year. Should that prompt reappear?
But like also, like Sherlock Holmes has at the end, like at the end of the book, you have the short stories. You could have just read the short stories.
Well, so this is what I did. Is I told, because I felt like I was cheating, so I didn't want to like just do that. But I did check with Lizzie that it was fine. And this collection also has collections of short stories within it. So I did that first, and I read the one of those that definitely wasn't a reread for me, and I read that. And I was like, there we go, it counts, but I'm going to try. And I managed it, and I'm still very proud.
But it's fine, Abby, because this year what we'll do is we'll make sure that you're available and your laptop doesn't like mess up, so we can do prompts where you can pick your prompts this year. Because, you know, we had to pick them for you because your laptop decided it didn't want to work. So this year we'll try and do it so it's a bit more not going to screw you over again.
That was the thing as well. Everyone was like a different like species from Lord of the Rings, and I couldn't join because my laptop was doing its thing, so they made my prompts for me. We're like, yeah, that'll be a nice easy one, and I come along like, yeah, you've given me hell. Thank you. See, now I don't think I've ever had it, which I don't understand, because I am like half Scottish. Like my mum is just a fake Scotswoman, honestly.
Yep,
that is true. That is very true.
This is written by someone who is currently, she is writing her third year dissertation right now as an English lit student.
The thing that I always used to get through is I go on Wikipedia, find where they got their references from, make sure that their reference made sense. Oh, look, I can totally fucking use it because I can reference the book that Wikipedia referenced.
Well, it's one of those ones where, yeah, you would look at the footnotes, and also I would use Spark Notes to work out in which chapter certain things happened, and then I would just read that chapter as a like for the analysis.
Yeah.
So I would read the books, but I have removed like 30 or so books from my Goodreads because I put them as read, but in theory I'd only read like 2 or 3 chapters of them. I knew the story, but I was just like, I put them as like 4 stars, and it's like, I hated studying this. Why is this on my Goodreads? So they've gone.
You said it as a 1 star.
This is the thing, is I think it's just where like I joined in like 2014 and was like, I have not read that many books that weren't uni books. So I'm just going to put all of my uni books on, and look how the tables doth turn. Doth. It's a vibe.
Yeah, so I kind of fucked up the vibes at the end, but did we truly expect me to not fuck anything up?
I'm here for it, in all honesty. Like, you know me,
like,
I love
I
to
just
get
spent a weekend behaving with my parents, okay? Like, I'm here to fuck shit up.
You needed to drop a chaos bomb because we were far too well behaved, like, while you were talking. So you needed to do something like, you know, drop the bomb there and watch us explode.
I will say the Sherlock Holmes, like the short story bind-ups of Sherlock Holmes individually, genuinely are quick reads. Like, not the entire discography, okay? Not the entire thing, but like the short story collections. So I think one of them's called The Casebook of Sherlock Holmes. That in itself took me, as someone who reads like a standard adult novel at like 100 pages an hour, that took me like 2 hours. So, your mileage will vary depending on how quickly you read. Some of you, that could take 10 hours, but it's still going to be quicker than some other things you're going to read. So, yeah, individually they are speedy. And I will shut up about Hannah when I first because I kind of like him.
Has anyone decided what they're going to read for next month?
I have options.
Yes,
I'm excited about it.
I have decided.
Who is it next month? Who's hosting?
Hannah.
Decide.
Hannah.
I have both
So,
hands.
Hannah, do you want to tell us about it if you can remember on the spot?
It's middle grades, so just any middle grade. If we're handing out points, I'll give you a bonus if it's spooky because they're my favourite.
Oh, wait, I didn't know that. Well, if I receive Hannah's packet, maybe I could read the last one in the small spaces.
Now I'm mad because I've read all my spooky middle grades. That feels like
This
It doesn't have to be spooky, but I just love spooky.
This has got ghosts in it, but I don't think it's going to be spooky. But I'm excited for it nonetheless.
I own one singular spooky middle grade. And it's one that I know that you really liked.
Mm-hmm.
Hannah sent me it.
I read them all as well, Lizzie. Like, I'm the same. I'm just waiting for one left. I don't know when it's going to arrive.
I mean, I don't think the one I'm planning on reading spooky, but it's not out yet. It comes out in a few days.
Which one
I think
is it?
it's just a mystery.
Which one is it?
I forgot what it's called, but it's the one by Alistair Beckett King that's coming out. That I'm.
Oh, yes, you mentioned
I've got
it.
someone in sales at work that's got a similar name, so I always call them the wrong one. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. And it's like Detective Bonbon and something. I can't remember what the rest of the tagline is, but I'm very excited about it.
I love that. I mean, I've only got like 5 middle grades to choose from, although that is a significant improvement from when we planned this all out. And I had 1 middle grade on my TBR. So thanks, Hannah, for sending me those for Christmas. I really appreciate it.
And
You're
who
welcome.
will be the guest next month? Because we're having a guest every month for everyone. And Sam, you've been wonderful. So Hannah, who is the guest? Do you remember who?
It was Becca, wasn't it?
Was it?
I have no idea.
Possibly.
Someone told me they're organising that for me, so I don't know.
TBC.
Okay.
TBC. But regardless, I will say, first of all, you all need to go and subscribe to Hannah's channel so that you'll then get the notification when the live stream happens. I am 98% sure that no other live streams will happen prior to that one. So you can put the on Hannah's channel. So you can put the notification bell on and you will be notified immediately of that live stream. And I also highly, highly encourage you to go and subscribe to Sam. Thank you so much for coming on for this. I know it was an absolute mess, but it's been a pleasure.
Really fun. No, I was going to say thanks for inviting me because I've had a lot of fun. So.
Of course, it was so lovely to have you. And then, of course, to mention the other 3 Egypts, the 3 Musketeers, to speak about Alexandre Dumas. We have Lizzie from Bombadil's Bookish Things. We have Hannah from Ladder M, and we have Celine from Stuff Celine Does. You should go and subscribe to them all. They are linked down below, but I remember now. You are linked down below. It's just the actual links. So like copy and paste them and put them into your browser, or just go search the channel names because they're all right there. You need to go subscribe to everyone. You've done it already, right? Yeah, good. But yes, thank you so much everyone for joining. Emma, it's middle grades. Listen.
If you need a reminder, join Hannah's Discord, because Old Sort of Chats is on there for Total Bollix, and is probably, if you want to be confirmed, like if you need any recommendations, Hannah's Discord is where I would say to go, because I think that all the main hosts are within that Discord, so any of us can jump on and let you know. Abby doesn't really use Discord that much, but she recommends classics like fucking Count of Monte Cristo. So
There's also the Instagram and the Twitter, which will have all the details as well.
And also, just before I do kind of sign off, what is everyone's reading speed is a question we've had. So I said already, it varies depending on what it is I'm picking up. But if we go with average, then I read about 100 pages an hour. So, Sam?
I'm about 60 pages an hour, like a page a minute. It's kind of mine.
Lizzie?
Same.
I'm a fast reader. I probably would say the average is between about 100 and probably 150 pages an hour. depending what it is. If it's a classic, however, I'll be lucky to get 20. And if it's Assassin's Apprentice, which I'm reading right now, you'll be lucky if I can read 20 pages.
That is very no, Celine. It's a fantastic book, but it's slow. Okay, even I was only reading like 80 pages an hour for that one. And I will say the difference is that Lizzie can read a lot faster, but I read my speed more consistently. I think.
I read the
Like
trilogy.
Lizzie will sometimes read 150 pages an hour, but I'm almost always at like 100. That's the difference.
It varies for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
But like I'm quick. It's never really like it's really specific books that it's under 100 pages an hour, and depending on how tired I am as well. That also is
And then obviously other Hannah's already said that same as Sam, that she's about 60 pages.
Page a minute, yeah.
I guess that I'm a bit over that. I mean, between Hannah and Lizzie.
And considering you're reading in your
But, like,
non-native language,
I'm
like
in the stand-up as well, so like I'm not reading barely. Like I cannot
you're
concentrate.
French and you're reading that speed in English, like I wish. And Hannah, main Hannah.
I actually
Yes,
have no
it's
idea. I thought it was 30, but hearing yours,
I
that's
can
obviously
tell
wrong.
you.
Maybe that's half an hour. Maybe it's about 60.
No, it's
I-
more than that. It's more
I
than
feel
that.
like I think for middle grade you probably read faster than that, just from
Oh, yeah,
knowing certain things that have happened when we've been reading together. I know
Yeah.
that for middle grade you definitely read faster for that, but I guess for
For
like
sure.
it might be slightly slower.
Well,
It's a
here's an example.
4 or 6 hours to like read a
Yeah.
certain, and like you caught up in 2 hours.
Less than. But it was an absolute joke. We were reading The Monsters of Rookhaven, which is a gothic middle grade. It is such a good time. And Celine and I were doing 45-minute sprints and reading about 45 pages at a time, and then like disappearing and doing other things. So it had taken us a solid 6 hours to get within like the last 100 pages, just because we kept like breaking it up with other things. Hannah came in at like 2 hours before like Celine and I were done and was like, yeah, I've caught up. And we were like,
Wow.
also, when? How?
Like I do really need to emphasize the fact that like your reading speed doesn't matter. My other half, he doesn't read anywhere near as much as I read, but he reads, depending on the book, 15 to 30 pages in an hour. And I'm not gonna lie, I've been with him for 6 years, and he told me that at the start of us dating, and I was like, how? Because my parents both read quite fast as well, but like that's a perfectly acceptable speed if you are enjoying what you read.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Does not matter how fast you are reading. Like if you read 5 pages an hour, it's 5 pages more than you had at the start of the hour. So like don't feel like you need to try and speed up your reading at all. FYI. And Emma, that is worse than me. At least I'm not rereading The Count of Monte Cristo. I need to reread it at some point, but I'm not going to do anything soon.
I will not read this book ever.
Les Mis, I'm reading it right now.
Not even in French. Like hell no.
I'm enjoying it.
No.
How are you? Assassin's Apprentice is slow.
I love
It
Assassin's
is.
Apprentice.
Yeah,
Please.
it's
slower
amazing.
as
Don't get
well.
me wrong.
Don't say anything about the book. I love
It's
it.
a beautiful book. I get why people love it, but it's slow.
Yeah.
It's so slow that Lizzie just decided to leave. Ditch. I'm
Is
joking.
I'm still here. I'm still here.
No.
I'm still here. Sorry, you can't get rid of me that quickly or that easily, Abby. Like, sorry. You have me for life now. I hope you realise the mistake you've made.
Massive mistake. But yes, so I think we've covered everything. We've answered all the questions, unless one's come in just now. And Emma, I swear to God, if it's you, I'm not looking. But we've covered all of the questions that were in the comments. I've told you that you need to subscribe to everyone. You probably should unsubscribe from me because I am this annoying in all of my videos, just FYI.
I have one more thing to say. Next month's live show is scheduled for will be scheduled for the 26th of February and will be starting earlier. Like I think 7 GMT, 7 p.m. GMT.
7
Sorry.
7 was when we used to, yeah.
Yeah, we're already later because my train literally arrived at the platform in York Station at 7:01 today.
But it's just for the next ones. They will be starting at 7 p.m. Just so that people know that the time will be slightly earlier next time. But other than that, that's it.
Slightly more friendly. And yes, so please do go.
No.
Huh?
Oh, I said it'll be my first live, so
Yes.
expect things to break.
So
I mean, did I or did I not make Celine's face massive? You're fine. I've already started it, okay?
It's gonna be a great live show, and everyone will come and support you. And you're not doing it on your own either. We're all here.
Yes.
So go subscribe to all 5 of these wonderful folks. Also check out Waypoint Books, which is linked down below, because you all need to go treat yourselves to books in your life. And it's also Hannah's job, so, you know, help, be nice, buy your books through, you know, an independent bookseller. That's Hannah.
Yay!
Okay. Thank you so much for watching, folks, and we will see you in the next live on Hannah's channel. Bye, everyone.
Bye.